Our culture seems to have a fixation with mornings. Books like The Miracle Morning and websites like My Morning Routine love extolling the virtues of waking up super early and building a strong morning routine with lots of healthy habits in it, like meditation and, of course, putting lots of butter in your coffee. But what about the evenings? Here's the thing, nothing exists in isolation, and this is especially true of your mornings. If you're lax about your evenings, if you're lax about the time when you go to bed or what you do at night, then your mornings are probably going to be pretty lackluster as well. So here are 7 things that you need to stop doing at night, because if you can fix your nights, then your tomorrow mornings get better as well. Number 1, stop going to bed at inconsistent times. And note that I didn't say stop going to bed late, because that actually works for some people. Everyone has a different chronotype, which is a biologically hardwired propensity to go to sleep and wake up at different times. Some people do really well going to bed super early, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, doing the whole Jocko Willink thing, and some people do well working late into the night and then sleeping in to compensate. But regardless of the exact time, the reality for most of us is that we're trying to get up at a consistent time. And when that's the case, going to bed at an inconsistent time the night before leads to inconsistent amounts of sleep. So to fix this, first figure out how much sleep you need. The guidelines put out by the National Sleep Foundation are a great place to start, and you can also use apps like Sleep Cycle to figure out your own specific sleeping habits if you want to be more accurate. Once you've got that data, then establish a bedtime that fits with it and stick with it, which of course is easier said than done. So the question then becomes, how do you go to bed on time consistently? Well, that's the focus of my next suggestion. Stop doing your main activities, working, hanging out with friends, watching TV shows, playing video games, well before your bedtime. In my experience, this is the main reason that I tend to push my bedtime off. I'll be playing a video game or watching a TV show and notice that it's getting near my bedtime, but then tell myself that I can just go to bed right after I'm done. I can just roll right into bed, which is of course a lie. I've got to do stuff before I can go to bed, brush my teeth, clean up, all that good stuff, and that keeps pushing my bedtime later and later. So the solution here is to set a wind down time, at least 30 minutes before your bedtime. This is the point where you should stop doing whatever it is you're doing, start getting ready for bed and getting ready to go to bed. Once you're ready for bed, it's fine to go and do something else until your bedtime actually rolls around. Maybe play an instrument for a while like I like to, or read a book, or maybe even watch some TV. There's actually conflicting research out there about the harmfulness of TV at night, so it might work fine for you, but whatever it is you pick, it should be something that's relaxing and that's easy to put down when it's actually time to go to bed. Which brings me to my 3rd item on the list. Stop using the internet before bed. Nothing has a greater ability to trick you into staying up later and later than the internet. Sure, binge-worthy TV shows can be a temptation as well, but at least before you start an episode of one of those, you know beforehand that you're gonna dedicate 30 minutes or an hour to that, and it's often possible to talk yourself down. But with Reddit and Twitter and Instagram and all these social media sites, it's so easy to tell yourself that you're just gonna spend 1 or 2 minutes scrolling and then get to bed, which is almost never the case. So when your wind down time rolls around, the first thing that you should do is fully shut off your computer and put your phone somewhere where it's not going to distract you. And if you're one of those people who uses your phone as your alarm clock, then that deserves scrutiny as well. And I say this as somebody who does use their phone as an alarm clock. If you find yourself reaching for your phone when you're in bed, if you find yourself not going to bed when you should because it's on your nightstand, then maybe it'd be a good idea to get yourself an old-fashioned digital alarm clock and keep your phone in a different room. All right, next up, stop drinking caffeinated beverages before bed, which should be obvious, but also even in the late afternoon. Now, you probably already know that having a coffee or an energy drink right before bed is going to harm the quality of your sleep, but research has found that caffeine consumption even up to 6 hours before bedtime can do the exact same thing. Now, this is the point in the video where I'm gonna say your mileage may vary, because I know from personal experience that I can have coffee at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and go to sleep just fine with no problems. But if you're having trouble getting to sleep, or you're waking up in the middle of the night, if the quality of your sleep is suffering, then cut off the caffeine consumption in the early afternoon. Now, that may leave you coffee and tea lovers wondering, what do I drink at night? And my personal suggestion is herbal tea, which actually isn't tea at all because tea always has caffeine unless it's decaffeinated, which makes it gross. But there are herbal tea blends out there that are delicious and non-caffeinated. My personal favorites are Fireside Vanilla Spice and Bengal Spice, though a lot of people also like to go for chamomile. And while there isn't a whole lot of scientific evidence out there that chamomile is actually a sleep aid, it is indeed a relaxing drink, and well, that's pretty good for going to sleep too. That brings us to item number 5, which is admittedly a bit of a departure from everything else on this list, but I did want to include it. Stop going to bed angry. This is a rule that I set for myself back when I started dating my girlfriend, and it's been very helpful ever since. I guess the way that I look at it is that each day is its own self-contained journey, and I don't want to end that journey on a sour note. I don't want to be angry at her, I don't want her to be angry at me, so if I can help it, and I can, I want to at least address the situation, make my apologies, because often I do need to make an apology, and make sure that the emotions have simmered down, have cooled off a little bit before we go to sleep, and maybe work on it some more the next day. All right, item number 6, maybe stop working out late at night. So back when I was in college, I would often do just that. When I lived in the dorms, I would often wait until 9 p.m., sometimes even 10 p.m. to go to the dorm gym and get a workout in and then go to bed. And that worked out pretty well for me. However, and again, this is a your mileage may vary thing, if you do this, you might find it difficult to go to sleep. And the reason for that is that working out, especially if you do a hard cardio workout or you go really, really hard, raises your core body temperature. And that body temperature doesn't come back down to normal levels for quite some time. And of course, as anyone who's ever slept in a hot room knows, going to sleep with an elevated body temperature isn't really the easiest thing in the world to do. So if you're used to exercising in the evenings, but you're finding it difficult to fall asleep, then maybe try moving your workouts to the mornings. Now, one thing that I do want to note is that things like yoga and light stretching, these are probably not going to raise that body temperature very much, so those are totally fine to do before bed, and I often like doing some light stretches before I go to bed personally. That brings us to the final item on our list, which is to stop leaving messes for yourself to clean up in the morning. You probably know this just as well as I do. It's so easy to go to bed and tell yourself that you're gonna clean up the mess in the kitchen or on the desk in the morning because you're gonna have more energy then, you're gonna have more time. But here's the problem with doing that. When you wake up the next day, instead of being able to roll right into your morning routine or get right to work, you are immediately interrupting your momentum by having to clean up your mess from the night before. And I know from personal experience that this interruption of momentum can often have knock-on effects. It can make my entire day less productive as a result. So instead, use part of your wind down time to reset your space. Do the dishes, clean off your desk, close any programs on your computer, do whatever it is that you need to do to make your space immediately usable the next morning. That way you can wake up and immediately get into the habits in your morning routine, one of which could be spending some time at the start of your day working to broaden your base of knowledge. Like we talked about in my previous video about Leonardo da Vinci, one thing that can really help you become a better problem solver and boost your job prospects is working to become a T-shaped person, someone with a deep knowledge of an expert in a few specific areas, along with a much broader base of shallower knowledge that they can draw upon to solve problems creatively. And a great place to start building that base of knowledge is CuriosityStream, which has over 2,400 high-quality documentaries that can broaden your knowledge in science, nature, technology, history, and lots more, including ones from Stephen Hawking and Sigourney Weaver. Though if you want a personal recommendation, I'm going to recommend you start with a documentary called Order and Disorder, which traces the development of communications technology and how we transmit information across the globe. You can get access to all these documentaries for just $2.99 per month, which is really affordable. But since you watch my channel, you can also get your first 31 days for free by going over to curiositystream.com/Thomas and using the promo code Thomas when you sign up. Big thanks, as always, goes out to CuriosityStream for sponsoring this video and being a supporter of my channel, and thank you as well for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and get subscribed right there so you don't miss out on future videos, and also click right there to get a free copy of my book on how to earn better grades if you haven't done so already. You can also watch one more video on this channel right over here, or check out our latest podcast episode right over here if you want to listen to something that is, more than 8 minutes long. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.